let's go ahead and start Reverb. So to do that, we're going to use Reverb start. We're going to put the host as 000, port at 8080, and the host name is whatever you're going to call the application. And I always like to have debug on so I can see what events are being triggered in case anything goes wrong. So that's all we need for this is because we created this retweet count update, we also need to create a retweet updated. So we're going to start working on essentially having retweeting working completely. So to do that, all we want to go ahead and do is inside here, we have all the things we need for the count. Inside retweet action, we're getting the information here. So I want to go ahead and create a public function retweet. I'm just going to also have one here called undo retweet. So we're going to have two different functions here. One is going to be for retweeting and one is going to be for undoing it. Alright, so let's go ahead and just minimize this here to have a bit more space. And then in here, essentially, we can go into our retweet action. So let's go ahead and close this and just have the two one open that we need. There we go. In here, we basically need to have a way to distinguish between retweeted items and non-retweeted items. So let's go ahead and do that. So I want to go ahead and essentially inside our user model, in here we want to go ahead and check if user has retweeted something. So what we can go ahead and do is we can create a function in here called has retweeted. And all we want to do in here is just check if it contains, in this case, if this contains, and we want to return a boolean, by the way, this tweet ID. So we just want to pass through a tweet here, just like that. We want to, in here, go ahead and get any retweets a user may have made. So to do that, let's go ahead and say public function retweets. And we want to have a has many relationship. In here, we want to return this has many tweet class, where tweet type is equal to retweet. But we also want to have, in this case, because we're going to count, in this case also type as quote. We could also do it in another way. This right here, this is just one way to do it, but this will work for now. So this would basically check if we have retweeted something. So all we should have to do in here now is we can go ahead and modify our bit in here, where we're going to go ahead and essentially change the classes around. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that over. And let's go ahead up here and make sure that we put this in here. So we check has retweeted, text green, dark text white, text gray, and add all these other classes here. At the moment, we haven't retweeted any of these except for this one. So let's go ahead and check. We have two users here. So we logged in as user number 4, and this one is logged in as user number 4. So in this case, we should be able to see it, but let's just go ahead and make sure that we can go ahead in here and just pass through this of user. So this is still set to 0 here. So if we go ahead in here where we have the one we retweeted, number 11, let's check that to be Taylor's tweet. Okay, so let's go ahead and see why this is not working for you. So I think the reason for this not working is because in here we need to change the type. So if we go ahead in here where we have this set here, let's put this in as a retweet. There we go. Now we have this one highlighted, the rest of them are not. So because of this now, what we should be able to do is in here, you can say undo retweet or retweet, depending on the case. And then inside here we can also go ahead and essentially check and retweet and delete retweet. So let's go into here and start working on how we will retweet something. So we want to say tweet equals to this tweet retweets create use ID and type as retweet. We want to have a broadcast new retweet count updated this tweet and in this case we want to pass through this tweet to others, and for the new tweet created, which we can also use here, we can just put tweet to others. And then because we already have this timeline component here, in here we have add tweet. We can just go and say this add this dispatch event add tweet ID. And what we want to go ahead and do as well is we want to hook up this here. So what I'm gonna do actually is I'm gonna go ahead and in here say if, and just say end if, and we want to have an else instead. So we can simplify the code like this. So in this case we want to have a span retweet, span undo retweet, and here we want to say wire click retweet. And I think in here we want to check the database first and foremost. Yes, we created this one here, so let's delete the retweets for now. In here I think we in the timeline component we take through a tweet ID, but we do it essentially like inside tweet was created. So what we can go ahead and do is essentially go ahead and say in this case if tweet so we want to call this tweet ID, and that's I think the issue there. So if we go ahead and try to retweet, automatically shows up here, and it would also automatically update in the browser for events. So in here we can then go ahead and say wire click delete retweet or undo retweet. And then here we just want to go ahead and say retweet equals to this tweet retweets where use ID is equal to auth ID first, retweet delete, and then we're gonna go ahead and say broadcast new retweet count updated. And we're gonna go ahead and broadcast another one here, which is gonna be for tweet deleted. So let's go ahead and create that. PHP has to make event tweet deleted. And I'm gonna call this actually specifically tweet was deleted. So let's go ahead and import that. In here we want to pass through the retweet. This, and in this case, we're gonna go ahead and dispatch event delete tweet with a tweet ID. So inside here, what we want to go ahead and do is just add this bit here. So we're just going to go ahead and pass through the tweet ID. Implements should broadcast now. And then inside the timeline, we just want to go ahead and create a delete tweet. Which is essentially just going ahead and rejecting it here. And for listening for it, we can work on that in a bit. But for now, let's just go ahead and see if we can go ahead and undo retweet. And that did not work. We want to call this tweet ID specifically. There we go. So that works now. And for broadcasting it, we just want to go ahead and do something similar to here. We want to call this listen for deleted tweets. And in this case, we want to go ahead and essentially do the same as here, but we want to go ahead and say tweet and ID, because we're doing essentially the same in here as we're doing in tweet was created. Only difference is we need to call it ID, not tweet. So in here, let's see why there's an error. Import the model tries. Okay, and if we go ahead and under the retweet, it still works. The count isn't triggered, so we need to figure out why that's the case. But I think we will do that in the next video. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.